So you've just finished back to basics. You've kind of got your head around what goes on with it. And then you say, well, what's all this nonsense about needing consultancy? What do they bring to the table? I don't get it. So you want to be a Power BI developer. We can see it cross highlights, fact and dimension. The visual calculations, we've got time intelligence within there. Let's just get right down to it. Let's start simple. I thought I'd share this, okay? This is Geordie Consulting, one of our sister companies' deck that they talk about, okay, in terms of let's get started. What is the point of it? Why are we engaging consultancy? And really, why is a consultancy bothering to help us actually take those first steps in Power BI? So let's have a look, huh? So obviously, first off, you've got me. Who am I? My background, my experience. I don't want to go into it. Okay, this is the point though. This is really the challenge that everyone is faced with and that consultancies will help you with, and that you need to wrap your head around what's going on. So kind of you've got the idea of your raw, so that's where data is coming from, the initial source of the data. So it's come through in a raw, and as much as possible, for various reasons, I won't get into it today, you want to kind of make sure that's as close to the original system as possible. Just kind of lift and shift, pull it through into your landscape so you can then do stuff. You then want to curate it, so actually shape the data, structure it into something that can be used. And then from that structured table set, we end up with models. Those models are that's the big headache, hurdle that everyone has to go through. Those are the bits that cause the most problems for people and are the biggest challenge to get your head around. And then you get to visualize, which unfortunately is kind of the least important in many ways, but it's always going to be the one that's seen by senior management as the most important, because the pretty picture has to be right. Or if they don't like pretty pictures, the table has to be right. They don't see everything that goes on before that. And that's that whole tip of the iceberg thing, isn't it? That there's an iceberg behind or underneath that data. So that pretty picture, that table that shows something, there's an awful lot of content under the waterline that's going on to get it there. And that's what you need to wrap your head around. How does that look in Microsoft terms if we were actually trying to put some technologies onto here? So in terms of our raw data, and again, just look at this, we could probably put Microsoft Fabric across everything now, couldn't we? But you've kind of got the idea that your data comes from SQL sources, Excel, SharePoint, other Power Platform sources, Fabric now with Fabric databases, Azure SQL, those kind of things, Fabric SQL. And then it comes through into it's being curated. So you've got Azure Data Pipelines now in part of Fabric, and obviously the data flows if you're wanting to do it just in the Power BI set for it. Or of course you can do it directly in semantic models. Don't really recommend doing that if you want an enterprise grade, but we still see clients doing it, and I still do it as well. It's not, I can't do it ever. Think through it is what we'd always say. So you curate your data, you come up with something that's going to be reusable and can be done. And then we actually do that data model. And what you see here is we've got two languages here. So we've got MScript and we've got DAX, and these are two that you have to learn. Right? And then lastly, of course, we get to that point of analyze and use, where we get the pretty pictures in Power BI or the tables. We get the exports into Excel. We get the direct Excel connections, which are really useful if you've got people who go, I want to export to Excel. Get them to use connections to Excel. You connect to the data model. You're not downloading stuff. You don't have copies of data appearing all over the place. And you actually have some level of data governance. It's amazing. Do it that way, much safer. But anyway, this is the Microsoft way. So this is what you need to, as a business, kind of wrap your head around. So what we would say is we go through and say, right, what are we going to put for our data side? So we might say, oh, we're going to use SQL for our data side. We might say, what are we going to do for our curation? We might say, oh, we're going to use Fabric for it, or we're going to use data flows for it. Where are we going to put our data model? Are we going to use Power BI, or are we going to use something else? So I saw there's my mind's just gone blank. But yeah, okay, so you've got the options available. Again, within Fabric, you can put them in there. Mine's just gone blank because I was going to say data marts, but it's not now. They're being renamed and data marts are going away, finally. I don't know how I feel about data marts going away, I'll be honest. Data marts were never given. Anyway. And then lastly, you've got kind of that visualization, that analyze and use. That's the bit that kind of everyone is most interested in, that use of it. So what's the challenge? Why are we talking about consultancy? Why do we have the likes of Geordie Consulting around? Why do we have these other consultants? And the issue really, it's this line here. So this is kind of the skill level that you're going to need to, so the skill, this line here, oh, here we go, yeah. This is the skill levels that you're going to need to serve up at any given time. So over time, obviously the amount of skills are going to go up because you're doing more complicated things. You've got more things to think about. If I think about the realities of a deployment to a client, we say, well, we've got use case 1, that's simple. You know, we do use case 1, great, no problem. Use case 2 comes through, and all of a sudden we've got to start thinking, well, how do we actually integrate use case 2 into use case 1 so the data is all available, so we've still got a single model? Can the two be used together? Are the dependencies on the two, are there shared data sets that we can pull together so that we're not duplicating effort? You start to get that. You know, imagine now 3, 4, 5 down the line, it adds up. So what you end up with is a landscape where, from a client's perspective, you want to be able to say, at this point in time, we need to be able to do this much stuff. So there's a gap, isn't there? There's a gap. So how do we fill that gap? And that's filling the gap is what we would need to use consultancy for. So this whole area here, oh, let's do that again. So the whole triangle area here kind of thing, this is the skills gap that you're going to need consultancy to support you in. What you could be doing is saying, we want some workshops from you. We want you to actually support our learning, help our teams learn what they need to do all that things. And that's kind of what Geordie Consulting often does, is they will help you establish those internal centers of excellence and those internal super user community groups and actually get the skills into the various parts of the business so people can access through content more efficiently, so your teams can serve up and manage and deliver more efficiently as well. So there's an awful lot there to think through, but that's kind of the core bit that you need. You know, they're there to plug that gap. The other thing they do as well is they will stop you making those kind of real gotcha mistakes that, because of just lack of knowledge and experience, which again, it's a reality of you're going into a platform you don't know. It's not a case of a failure. It's just you didn't necessarily know. They can stop you making those mistakes. And those mistakes could be critical, they could be business ending, some of them. You know, like we see some real moments with some of the stuff we've gone. But use consultancy at the right times and it will always reap a better reward for you. Because here you've got this case where we potentially need to use them for a limited period of time. That's going to change, isn't it? Suddenly you're going to find we've actually now got those skills that we can take over and run the solution ourselves. And that's what we want here at Geordie Intelligence and Geordie Consulting. We want you to be able to run your own solutions. So we've gone through a lot, haven't we? Okay, there's an awful lot there, and that's kind of a whistle-stop tour. Really what you want as a business, you want to be able to understand we're doing this because of ABC, not, well, because so-and-so said. So it becomes much more data-driven, more data-orientated in terms of how the business runs and how decisions are made. If you like that idea and you think this is great, book a meeting with Geordie Consulting. Okay, sit down, have an initial consultation, discuss what they can do for you and help move your business to the next level. For now though, stay safe, take care, ta-da.